Well, hello my lovely nestlings and welcome to today's video where I'm going to play with and chat about the HALLOBEAN palette, which is the collaboration between Shroud Cosmetics and Battybean here on YouTube. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Nikki. I am from the Netherlands, hence the accent. I'm also slightly orcish, relatively vintage, and I love makeup, spooky stuff and creativity in general. Let me give you some explanations. Slightly orcish means that I have an olive complexion. Relatively vintage means I'm 46. I also have ADHD and I'm autistic, so you get the complete package. Yes, I don't know if it's currently in stock as you are watching this. I know that there already has been at least one restock and they will keep on restocking this until no one wants it anymore. I don't know why no one would want that, but that's me. I'm biased, very much so. So in this video I'm not going to tell you if you need the palette because I'm of the impression that you don't need anything. I, however, very much do need this palette in my collection. I'm just going to tell you how it performed and let you make your own decisions if you want it or not, or maybe give you some tips and tricks if you have already bought it. It's such a cute palette. It's a 9-pan palette. There was also an enamel pin set that I also have here. You can buy everything separately or you can buy it in a bundle. Shroud Cosmetics is located in the USA. This is Betty's second collab with the brand, and when I saw it sneaked I was over the moon. I was so excited. I ordered it on launch and I'm very happy to have it in my hands. Looking at the color story, it's just such a nice grungy color story that can also go a little bit happy and, dare I say, everyday. The look I have on for me is also everyday. So I go out like this with green lipstick on because I don't personally care. And but you do you. I'm not going to tell you how you should do your makeup. I'm just going to say have fun. What I love about this color story is that there are actually there are two multi-chromes in here, and is that one a duochrome? The shade Afterlife, it's an orange which has a green shift in it, and it's a very pretty shade. Then the shade Black Flame, maybe my favorite shade in the palette. It is, I don't know, it has a dark purple red base or maybe a dark wine red base, but or black base actually. There's red in here, purple, it shifts to a green. I love this shade so much, and you can really play with this. If you put it on top of different colored bases, you can really play with the undertone. The shade Ghoulish is the other multi-chrome in here, which, or is it a duochrome? It has a white base, or maybe it's an iridescent, I never know. It has a white base and kind of a greeny minty shift, and I think it's very pretty. And yeah, I have used that in my inner corner. So let's just go over how I created the looks. When I swatched the palette, I noticed right away that the shadows are very pigmented. So I kind of know how I want to work with it. Now, I never set my eyeshadow base. So I just tap out my eyeshadow base. And what I actually do when shadows are very pigmented, as you can see, is that I start with the lightest color that I want to use. In this case, it was the shade Showtime, which I just tapped on with a brush and then blended out the edges, made sure it wasn't patchy, and it blended out very nicely. Then after that I deepened it up with the shade Wicked, which is actually a very deep green. You can see that on camera that it is a very deep green. I initially thought it was a black, but it's not. It's very deep green. The reason that I work then this way is because I know that I want to work with that darker shade, but I usually don't pack on and then blend out. I don't like to do, I can, but I don't like to do that, especially when my eyelids are a little bit older. The more I blend, the more I move my eyelid around, the more it hangs. It's just physics, basically. So I kind of tapped on the shade Wicked, started blending a little bit, then went back to the shade It's Showtime, which is the lightest green, and blended out the edges, and that worked so perfectly. I can very much deepen it up even more. Now, I did want to put the shadows on my lid as well, because I want to kind of work with the shifts of the shade Black Flame. Now, what I also always use is a shimmer primer. The reason that I use the primer that I use is just to make sure that the shadows stay put. Not that these need it to be extra sparkly, but it just helps my eyelids a little bit, you know, to grab onto shadow. So the one that I use, the Liquid Life gel base from Death and Candy Custom Creations, and I will link it down below for you. It's just such a nice gel primer. If you're here in Europe, there are also European equivalents. Glam Shop has one. Shroud Cosmetics also has one, and both are available in Europe. And then, yeah, I just went playing after that a little bit, and I really like how the look turned out at the end. I try to also show you a little bit of the shifts with a mirror. I know it's a trick that Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner does. I tried it. I'm not very proficient, so I hope that you could see the shifts. But overall, the eye makeup looks so like I don't know, spent an hour on my eyes alone, and I didn't. It was pretty quick. I think it took me all of 15 minutes for the eyeshadow to be on. Having everything complete with, you know, all the lashes and such, it takes a little bit longer, but that was very, very quick. The look that I have on right now, I kind of had a look in mind, and there's still kind of a look that I want to do. But I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit monochromatic, but also play with it. So I just started with the shade Crypt because I really wanted to see how it looked on me. Me being kind of an olive and a warmer, not an extremely warm olive, but a warmer olive, a shadow like Crypt can warp on me a little bit, and it's actually stayed nice true to color. It is not popping for me, but that is all okay. It's a nice and grungy, mustardy, swampy yellow, and I loves it. I was kind of debating, am I going to go for green, but I opted to just go for more of the orange. So I went to the shade Losers Club, which is an orange. However, it also has quite a brownish base, because it's not a burnt orange, but it's almost kind of a terracotta orange instead of a terracotta red. It's also lighter than that. I hope that kind of makes sense. I wanted to also use the shade Ghastly, which is... It can be a dark purple, but it can also be kind of a very dark blue. It's a very interesting combination. So I want to say it's a blurple, but very deep and dark. Now, technically, they should not mix, but they do. And I noticed that in the first palette as well, that the colors were grungy enough and kind of murky enough in and of itself that when you blend the shadows that you should not blend together, they work. And that's what happened here as well. So while Losers Club is an orange and Ghastly, I love that word so much, is more of a blue purple, and they should not mix well, they do. Because both shades are already a little bit murky. Kind of, does that make sense? It's color wheel, color theory and all that. But I really love the shade of the matte. I knew that I wanted to use the shade Afterlife. And again, it's just such a pretty shade, and it works so, so well. It just gives me... It gives me fire, but not the bright, happy. The kind of... It's already a little bit darker. Basically, when the fire salamanders come out to play and you have the coals that are glowing, that's the kind of vibe that it gives me today. So I feel extremely hot. Well, I'm kind of cold, but that's not, doesn't matter. The shade Woodsboro is then more of a happier orange that I think pairs very well with the look that I have today. And I had to finish it off with the shade Ghoulish, which I put on top of the green, just to help bring out that green a little bit more, to give a pop of something extra. What I noticed performance-wise is that the mattes, as I said, are very pigmented. What do you do then? You tap off your brush. Do your eyes first. If you don't want any fallout on your makeup, do your eyes first, but tap off your brush. I did tap off my brushes in the first look. Unfortunately not as well, so I did have fallout, but that was my own fault. Also with the shimmers, they are so rich in pigment that you don't need a lot. Now what I do with my gel base, I kind of build up the shadow so that it has, you know, time to saturate the primer without creating a lot of fallout. So also, if I pick up a shimmer shadow with the brush that I'm using, I always tap off my brush. Again, to minimize fallout. Because I do my face first. But if you do not, then you just go ham. But that's kind of the thing that I want you to take away from this. Don't be afraid of very, very pigmented shadows. For me, feeling the shadows and feeling these, I could see that they were very pigmented, but they were not extremely dry. If they are extremely dry, for me, a lot of the time it gets a little bit patchy. These have enough binder in them that it worked very well, even on top of a non-sticky or on top of a sticky primer. This is a buildable formula as well. You have enough pigment right away, but if you don't want fallout, tap off your brush with the matte shadows and with the shimmer shadows. And if you are, I am kind of light medium right now. If you're lighter than me or the same tone depth and you're having trouble working with shadows like this, do as I do. So either set your eyeshadow base, because there's nothing wrong with setting your eyeshadow base. If you want help blending, set your eyeshadow base with your face powder where you want the most blend to be. And for me, that's basically there. I love a blended look, so I want it to fade. So if I have a little bit of trouble blending because the shadow feels maybe a little bit sticky, I just set there where I know that I need to blend. And that's all okay. I usually set then with a color, but the theory is the same. So this palette lends itself very, very well to how I build up my looks, and I actually think that most people build up their looks this way. So start with a transition shade and then deepen it up. This palette lends itself very, very well for that. I also think that it will work if you pack on and blend out, but then pack on the darker shades lightly, so build them up and then blend it out with a lighter shade. I think that will work as well. For me though, I just prefer the method that I am using right now, and I kind of hope that that makes sense. So at the end of the day, do you need this palette? You don't need anything. I very much need this palette in my life, and I'm so very, very happy that I bought this. Yeah, that is it for today. Let me know if you got it. Let me know if my looks helped. I really do want to keep on playing with this palette, because I just think I also very much am intrigued by this color combination. Why? It's anyone's guess, but I'm so intrigued. I also think that both palettes will pair so well together, and yeah, I will link down below where you can find it. And if it's currently not in stock, don't worry, I'm sure that they will restock it again. I will also link Betty's channel down below. I'll also link Annette down below, because I talked about her as well. And the makeup that I have on my face will be listed too for you guys. If you're still here, leave me a bat emoji for Battybean. Yes, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to wish you a fantastic day, a fabulous evening. May your foundation always match your neck, and I will see you very soon in my next video, preferably without cat hair.